Hi, friends. So I was talking to my teen the other day about how I spent my summer vacations from school. And about 2 or 3 days a week, I did volunteer work. First at a convalescent center where my dad worked, and then later at our state museum of history. And the other days of the week, I stayed home and I had to do chores. I had to clean up. And my mom insisted on waking me up before she went to work. And well, she had to be at work at 7:30 in the morning, so there was no sleeping in for me until 10 o'clock or anything like that. And we didn't have cable, so we had 5 TV stations. So it wasn't like I was going to be sitting around watching TV all day either. But she made the comment, well, at least you didn't have vacation Bible school. And I said, the choice to do 3 VBSs a summer that you and your sister did, that was your choice. I said, I wouldn't have done that. It was crazy. It was insane. I absolutely hated every second of it. And I said, we did have VBS. I said, until I went to school, I did 2 because I went to a church-based daycare that had their VBS. And then I was at VBS at our church. I said, eventually I was an associate director. I said, I also led up our skit team. And she's like, wow. I said, yeah. I said, but the crazy part is, I said, I remember some of the themes from those vacation Bible schools. One year we did the Beatitudes, that whole section in Matthew 5 where Jesus says, this is the way we should look at those who are not happy, shiny people holding hands. Of course, to be fair, looking back at this from a 2020 lens, a 2020 perspective, they did kind of go hard on that. And blessed are you when men revile you and persecute you for my sake, because the subtext there was, if you're living for Jesus, the worldly people out there are going to make fun of you and put you down, and it's going to be okay because Jesus will bless you. Of course, as I got older and dove more into that passage, I looked at all the verses preceding that one. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the meek. Another vacation Bible school, the theme was from 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, etc., etc. And in the course of that vacation Bible school, they invited us to read that passage, but substitute in God for the word love. And to teach us these are attributes of God's love. Very, very different from that God of the Old Testament. We were invited to substitute our own names in for the word love. And hey, this is the way we're supposed to act. Another year vacation Bible school, the central verse and theme was from 1 John 4:7-8. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. And thinking back on this as I talked to my daughter, I said, wow. I said, so I guess we can say that my Southern Baptist upbringing radicalized me to being the radical, inclusive, accepting, welcoming believer I am today. So I guess that's what radicalized me, ironically.